right, so today I'm going to talk about topics that actually kind of span the second quality section and this community section a bit, but some of the community parts are what I'm really excited to talk about with this panel. But yeah, it's sort of a range of AI-aided interventions and strategies with the goal of promoting meaningful dialogue, thinking about platforms and communities. Oh, and I forgot that I can control this. All right, so if you're not familiar with Jigsaw, just stepping back to who I am, I'm a UX researcher at this unit within Google called Jigsaw that kind of operates separately from Google in several ways. One thing, we conduct a lot of deep foundational research into the why of some of the thorniest internet problems facing not just Google, but the broader internet ecosystem. That allow us to kind of build and share solutions, again, not just for Google, but open source tools, open research for the broader community. And so we do that in a lot of different ways and with a lot of different people, including some of the people at this event today, spanning academia, civil society, NGOs. And you can see here just a brief selection across some of our issue areas like hate and harassment, censorship, violent extremism, and so on. And over the years, we've kind of done a whole range of interventions that I'm not going to get into in detail now, but just for the reference of the people in this room, across these different topic areas, so things like interrupting online radicalization, with a program aimed at targeting people who are vulnerable to recruitment by extremist groups. Accuracy prompts like Julia and others have mentioned, nudges that can just prompt people to think and consider the veracity of content. A variety of things to promote better conversations, such as real-time feedback, as New Public just mentioned, and general techniques to increase resistance to manipulation more general, through something called pre-bunking. So you can check out this website to learn more about that history of research, but just wanted to share that. I'm going to be talking about a few opportunities in particular that leverage the team that built Perspective API that Jigsaw maintains. What Perspective API is at a high level is a machine learning model to identify historically focused on toxic comments and various harms. It's pretty simple in the sense that you send it a piece of content to review, it'll give you a score, which is kind of a probability that contains toxic content according to the model. And it's free and is in many languages: English, Spanish, French, German, Portuguese, Italian, Russian, more to come. And yeah, so it can do a lot of different kinds of things with this score, and you can see some kind of high-level categories of that above, from something that a platform can use to help them moderate comments, giving signals to writers of comments as they're writing based on a score, even just sorting, user controls, or helping to visualize and understand trends. But one thing that we've been really interested in the last year or so is this shift, not just to thinking about flagging content that might be harmful, but also actively trying to identify pro-social or connective aspects of conversation. And there's some initial evidence that doing so actually can help people feel better informed and have better conversations. And with developments with LLMs, we're actually able to kind of start to detect some of these more complex social attributes more easily than we could before with fewer examples. And so again, stressing that we're interested in using Gen AI and LLMs here, not to generate content, but actually to use those architectures to help conversations amongst people. And so here's kind of a more recent mission statement. Yeah, striving to build solutions that, that can help enable that pro-social meaningful dialogue, to bridge perspectives and transform online conflict, and with the important caveat that with an emphasis of when there is disagreement, you know, kind of better disagreement, better conflict, helping us be our best selves, as others have mentioned before, even if that can be uncomfortable. And so some new kind of pieces in this toolkit that you can think of for trying to promote better online conversations is this new suite of what we've called bridging attributes, trained on comments from a variety of sources. Actually, someone here today, Sonia from the SIFT group, has worked with us to do qualitative work with raters to get trained to understand these concepts and you know, share their own interpretations. So we've actually released the data for that. And you can see a few of the categories here, such as reasoning, nuance, personal stories, all based on things that we've kind of like tried out and found to be markers of more productive conversation. And as with toxicity, you can imagine using these in a bunch of different ways for a bunch of different kinds of conversations. In our blog post just about this, you can see this demo of a pretty simple just sorting use case where, you know, maybe instead of recency, you're interested to see the personal stories about a topic. The richness of that, you're interested to see the reasoning or like specific points and details that people are making. So kind of, this is an example that I like because it's kind of giving the end user control to think about the different ways to slice and dice a conversation. But more broadly, how would we think about measuring what is an improved pro-social conversation? I really like this framework from the Pro-Social Ranking Challenge of considering that it doesn't mean just one thing. There are multiple outcomes you might care about that might actually move in different dimensions. So we talked earlier about some potential trade-offs, or times when, surprisingly, maybe there isn't a trade-off in engagement, especially if you think about long-term. But maybe informativeness, well-being, there are a bunch of different ways that you might measure this, so these are all things we're thinking about. And I want to make sure I get to some of the latest community work, so I'm going to really just flag this for awareness, some of the work we've done looking into another possible intervention type of re-ranking comment spaces. So this is a preprint that's out where we kind of made a prototype with a politics op-ed article and a dining article and re-ranked it by a few of these new attributes, and actually found that across these conditions, people found the reasoning or constructiveness and curiosity actually significantly improved how trustworthy, respectful, and interesting they found those comment sections. So some promising signs there. And you can kind of see they had a little phone prototype with the different comments for these conditions. But yeah, in the last few minutes here, I want to talk about, we know still that any of these classifiers is kind of a vision where it's assuming a kind of one-size-fits-all detection for a world that is not one-size-fits-all. Toxicity is different for different people. What's constructive or reasoning is different for different people. So we know that, and we're thinking of ways that we might work with communities to help them define their own definitions. So recently, this is the first time I'm talking about this, but we have been doing interviews and a program with community moderators across a variety of spaces like Discord, Reddit, and Slack. You can see a kind of broad sampling of some of the folks we talked to here, and across a few different types of groups, from those maybe focused on more marginalized groups like an LGBTQ or disability group, to just like special interest, you know, maybe something about climate or humor, to streaming creators. And we found their goals were definitely different, But as we dug into the kind of workflows of moderation, there was a lot of commonality in the kinds of spaces and strategies they used to moderate. So running out of time, so I'm not going to walk through this in detail, but you can see kind of at a high level there's a difference between these kind of community spaces where there's a focus on just like maybe uplifting the community, more pro-social tactics, mediating conflicts, and then also these other spaces where there's collaboration between mods to work things out for themselves, to reinterpret and maybe add and revisit rules. So our question is like, what's working, what's not? Are there opportunities to help here? And how can LLMs or can LLMs and AI play a role? And we saw, sort of a hesitation to trust without trying, but also a need for, or a lot of the limitations of some of these word and phrase-based matching tools that they use now. So I'm going to skip ahead to, we've come up with a few insights from these communities, along with a few opportunities that we think are worth looking into. But one that I think we're excited about in particular that we saw is our tools to use a community's own rules as an input to a system that could then give these moderators the control to then still review and deliberate, but with signals that kind of go beyond the current word and phrase matching with more nuance. So this is what we're excited about. And for both the classifiers and this new community moderator work, actively looking for kind of partners, tips, people to talk about what they're finding in these spaces. And thank you so much.